If you're not doing any long-term nurture or any email marketing, this I think is the easiest way to get started, and I really do think the kind of bare minimum that you should be doing, especially if you are spending money on ads, maybe Meta ads or Instagram or Google. If you're investing money to get leads and then you're giving up and not doing any kind of long-term nurture, you're really not getting the most out of your marketing spend. If you put them on a newsletter list, you send them some content, you stay top of mind, I guarantee you will start getting some sales. In this video, I'm going to show you some strategies for how you can use Pipedrive to nurture your prospects so you can stay top of mind until they are ready to buy. Hello, my name is Paul Miners and welcome back to another one of our Pipedrive training videos. Now, when selling, often the final hurdle that you need to get over is time. Maybe you have prospects who are convinced, they've got the budget, but they're just busy with other things or projects right now and they need a bit more time. Or sometimes you have prospects where you have followed up a few times, but they're now not responding and the lead is starting to go cold. And we don't want to give up. We still want to try and reach out and nurture them a bit more in case we can get a sale out of them. But we also want to prioritize our time for the good quality new prospects that are coming in. So we need some ways to be able to automate that long-term nurture. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can use a combination of sales and marketing to nurture to these prospects. I think you do need to be doing both. You can't just fully automate your follow-up. I'm going to show you how you can use features like campaigns and workflow automations in Pipedrive to send newsletters or even drip emails out to those prospects. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to explain what we do at my company. We actually use Zapier to update subscribers in a separate email marketing service called Kit, and we trigger various types of follow-up based on different scenarios. If you have any questions at the end of this video, leave me a comment down below. And if you'd like one-on-one help with setting up or getting more out of Pipedrive, then click the link in the description below to book an introductory call with one of our team. Now, let me start by talking a little bit about what to do with the deal before you start any long-term nurture or follow-up. When should you lose the deal, really, is the question we need to ask. Now, my best practice in my business is if I still think there's a pretty good likelihood of closing or winning this deal in the near term, in the next, let's just say, month or two, I will keep the deal open because I really want my pipeline view here to show me the good quality, active opportunities or deals that I'm still working at the moment, and I want to have visibility of that deal. So in that case, I will keep this deal open, and what I may just decide to do is push out my next follow-up activity. So rather than following up here in 2 days, maybe I follow up again in a couple of months, and I could just push out my future follow-up. So that's me still doing kind of direct follow-up as a salesperson. I'm going to call them or email them a couple of months from now. I'm not really doing any actual nurture yet. The other scenario is if you've kind of decided, look, I'm not going to follow up with this person anymore, either because they've told me, look, we like what you have to offer, but we don't have any budget right now. Follow up in Q4, or maybe it's someone who's just stopped responding. I've sent some emails, I've tried calling, I've tried texting, they're just not responding. Then what I would do is lose the deal. Now, at the time of recording this, Pipedrive actually recently came out with this archive option. This is a new feature. You can archive the deal. Now, you need to be careful about using this feature. I actually even expressed some concerns in the Pipedrive community when they released this, because I think people may unintentionally archive deals when they should in fact be losing the deals. As it says here, when you archive a deal, you can't update the deal after it's been archived. The deal will also not be used in any automations, integrations, or and can't trigger the API. So if you do want to do some long-term follow-up using automation, do not archive the deal. The better action really is to lose the deal. Even if you still feel like, oh, we may still win the deal in the future, I don't want to lose it, that's fine. You can reopen the deal later if you need to. So for now, if I click lost, I could choose a lost reason, and I might choose a reason here, bad timing. And I could say, not ready just yet, would like a follow-up in Q4. So I'll mark my deal as lost, and now the deal is no longer visible on my pipeline. I've cleared it out the way. But it is still in the system, so if I search up here, Bruce Wayne, I can find the deal. Look, there's the one that I just lost. So it's still visible in search, and I can reopen the deal here if I need to. The other thing to briefly mention here is you can and should schedule activities on your lost deals if you intend to follow up in the future. So if Bruce has told me, follow up in Q4, I could again schedule this activity for sort of, let's say, early October. Do they have budget for Q4? So I'm going to set myself a little reminder about what I'm going to talk about when I follow up. So that's how I would suggest managing the deal, is losing it, set your lost reason, but set an activity if you intend to follow up in the future. Now, every sales process is a little bit different, but my belief is that a good long-term nurture strategy should include a combination of direct sales follow-up and marketing. So by direct sales, I mean, doing what I just did there, where you schedule an activity for the salesperson to follow up in a few months, over the phone or to send an actual personalized email. If you can get them on the phone, you're always going to be more effective than just sending somebody an automated email. But we can combine direct sales follow-up with marketing. And so what I'll show you next is maybe we put them on a newsletter and we send a newsletter once a week, once a month. Or we could even add them to an automated campaign where they get dripped out emails strategically over a period of time. And again, I think you should be doing both. That way, your marketing, your content is keeping them top of mind. They're being reminded about your product or service every now and then. And you're also following up personally with a phone call or more of a personal email every couple of months. So I've just marked this deal as lost. And what I want to do next is put the contact person from this deal, so Bruce Wayne here, I want to put him on a newsletter list so that when I send my next weekly or monthly newsletter, we include Bruce. Now, the best way to do that is using labels. Now, I'm going to add Bruce to I've already got a newsletter label set up here. I'm going to apply that label, and now when I send a campaign, I can send the newsletter to contacts with this label. Now, just to clarify one point, which I'll probably get asked about if I don't, is you do have deal labels. You can see I've got labels that I can apply to the deal. I often use these for things like hot, likely to convert, or cold, and so on. I'm actually going to put the label for the newsletter on the contact person, because when we build our newsletter list and we choose the contacts we want to send the newsletter to, we do that by using people, and so I want the label at the person level. So that's why I'm putting this label on the contact person. Now, the easiest way to start sending newsletters to nurture these prospects is using the Campaigns add-on in Pipedrive. This is basically an add-on you can purchase on top of your regular Pipedrive subscription to start sending marketing emails directly from Pipedrive. It's a great alternative to using an external marketing service like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. If you'd rather just do everything in Pipedrive, check out Campaigns, and I will link up here a video I did a little while ago on how to use Campaigns. So go and watch that first if you would like to see a more detailed tutorial. So let's say I'm working on this May 2025 newsletter. Maybe I'm sending out like a new video, some content, or updates about my industry, something that's going to keep me top of mind in my prospect's mind. Now, when I choose the recipients for this newsletter, we can do that using a filter, and I'll just start one from scratch. I'm going to look for any person where the label contains, and then I'm going to choose my newsletter label. Now, if you're wondering why did I not choose is newsletter, the reason for that is that would be an exact match. It would only return people that have the newsletter label and nothing else. I want to return people that have newsletter even if they have other labels as well, so I'm using the contains logic there. So I'm going to save that filter, and it's going to show me how many recipients we're sending this to. Now, actually, it's showing no recipients because this is our demo account. We haven't upgraded it, but you can see there Bruce is on the list. He would get this email. And with that done, I can come down here further. I can design my newsletter. I could create one from scratch. I could create an email newsletter using one of Pipedrive's templates, or I could use the HTML editor. I'm not going to go into that now. Again, go and check out our tutorial on campaigns. But the basic idea here is now I could send a newsletter like this once a week or once a month or every couple of months with some content that I can use to nurture that prospect. Now, being a business owner that values efficiency and automation, I really don't want to have to manually add that label when I lose a deal. Before, you saw me manually do that. which a lot of salespeople are just not going to remember to do. So being a bit more tech savvy, what I'm going to do is automatically apply that label using an automation. This is a feature on Pipedrive's advanced plans and higher, is you can use the workflow builder to create automations, and go and check out our video up here for a more detailed tutorial. If you've never used automation before, start with that first. But let's just say I want to create a simple automation where when we lose the deal, we want to automatically apply that label. So to do that, I'm going to use the deal updated trigger, because losing the deal is updating the deal. Now, technically, moving the deal stage or changing a custom field would also be classified as updating the deal. So I'm going to put in a condition here where we only want this automation to run if the deal status has changed to lost. So only when we lose the deal is this going to run. And I could also be more specific. Maybe I also want to check, I only want to add that label if the lost reason is, and then I could say bad timing, that bad timing reason that I chose before. So now when I update a deal, as long as we're changing the deal status from open to lost, or won to lost even, for that matter, and if we specify the lost reason is bad timing, this automation will continue. I can now perform an action, and in this case, I'm going to update a person field, and I'm going to update the label. And so from this first drop-down menu, I just need to choose which contact am I updating. You've got different contact fields and options available. We're going to use the deal contact person, basically the primary contact that's linked to that deal. And then I'm going to apply the newsletter label. So that's our very simple automation. So now when I lose a deal and I choose bad timing, it's going to apply the newsletter label. I'll just give this a quick name, deal lost, add label. There we go. We're going to turn that on. And any other options? I'm going to make this triggered by any user. So this won't just work for me. It'll work even if other people on my team lose their deals as well. So let me show you that automation in practice. Here's again a deal that I'm about to lose, and you can see the contact here currently has no label. And if I choose lost and I choose my bad timing reason, mark as lost, give Pipedrive a second to run the automation, and we should see, there we go, that newsletter label just got added to the contact. So using an automation like that is a great way of removing one step from the process for your salespeople, who are often notoriously forgetful at doing these kind of things. When we lose the deal, we automatically add them to the newsletter list. This is what I do. I send content every few weeks, and I've had people come back after a year, 18 months, even 2 years. They've been getting my content and they say, Paul, I'm ready for some help. So it's a very simple strategy. It doesn't take too much extra work, and it's a great way of capturing some extra revenue from the leads that you've already got. Now, if you want to take this a step further, or if you've got sort of a slightly different approach to your long-term follow-up, now what we could look at doing is create an automated email campaign where we actually, rather than having to manually send a newsletter every month or so, we could build a sequence where we have, 5 or 6 emails ready to go. We add them to the top of the sequence, and they just get those emails automatically sent, dripped out over time. Now again, the easiest way to do this is using the Campaigns add-on plus workflow automation inside Pipedrive. Now before, on this email campaigns tab, you saw me setting up a campaign which is for sending like a one-time newsletter campaign. So for like a monthly newsletter, we send it and we're done. We also have automated campaigns. These are the same as regular campaigns, except we can add these ones to a workflow automation for using inside an actual automated sequence. So here's an automation that I've already built, and actually I've got another video which I'm going to link up here. If you want to see me building this actual sequence and how to do nurture automation, watch that more detailed video. But just to run you through how it works, similar to the last automation, this one is triggered when a deal is updated. And again, when my status has changed to lost and the lost reason is bad timing, I've got a 1-week delay. We then send a campaign, and this is sending one of those automated campaigns. So I've created one here called Nurture Email 1. We're sending this to the deal contact person. So that gets sent after 1 week. We then have a 2-week delay after that. We skip weekends. And then what I'm doing is I'm checking, is the deal still lost? Because let's say they receive the first email campaign and then they engage and they say, oh, that was really good content. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more. I could then reopen the deal. And by reopening the deal is no longer lost. So that would stop any future email follow-up, because we don't want to be sending them content if I'm now talking to them about, trying to close the deal, possibly. So I'm checking if the deal is still lost. If it is still lost, send email nurture number 2. And actually what I've done here is I've created an activity to call as well. And this goes back to what I said before. I think a good follow-up strategy should be a combination of marketing and sales, where the salesperson is calling to kind of keep that conversation going. So I've got an activity there. And then finally, after a further 2-week delay, I check if the deal is still lost, and then I can send my 3rd email nurture. So that's a nice step up from just sending a regular newsletter. It's more automated, it's more hands-off, and sending an automated sequence works really well if you want to take your prospect on a journey. If you use your content to talk a little bit about common pain points or mistakes that people make, and then you talk a little bit about the opportunity and the value that your product or service has to offer, you can really kind of take them on a journey to lead them closer to saying yes and converting into a customer. So that's great, but there are some limitations with Pipedrive's workflow automation builder. For a start, with the delays that you saw me putting in there, an automated sequence can only have up to 90 days worth of delays. So if you want to do a really long nurture sequence over 6 or 12 months, you'd actually have to break this up into multiple sequences. The other limitation we have with the workflow builder is you can only have 10 actions per workflow. So an action being creating an activity or sending an email. So again, for bigger sequences and more follow-up, you're going to hit some roadblocks or some limitations there. This is why what we do in my business is, rather than using the native campaigns option, I use a separate third-party marketing service called Kit. Now, Kit has much more advanced email marketing capabilities. I don't have those same restrictions like I do in Pipedrive. And what I do is I use Zapier to connect Pipedrive to Kit. So similar, where if I lose a deal for certain lost reasons, Zapier will add or create a new subscriber in Kit and add them to the correct email sequence or automation. So here's a behind-the-scenes look at how our actual system works, and Zapier really is the unsung hero here. It's the glue that makes this whole thing work. So here's a zap which is triggered by a webhook, which we've set up inside Pipedrive. We make sure we only run this automation on deals that we've lost. And in the first part of this automation, what we're doing is we're working out, based on the type of inquiry, because we get inquiries related to Pipedrive and Asana, and Zapier actually, we're working out which newsletter tag should we apply. Because in Kit, you can see here we've got 4 different newsletter tags. We've got my regular newsletter, we've got an Asana, Pipedrive, and Zapier newsletter as well. So this first part of the automation is working out which tag are we adding. And then towards the bottom here, based on the lost reason, so again, if it's bad timing or if it's no response, if the prospect just doesn't reply, we add an additional tag. What we then do is, firstly, with the newsletter tags, I can send out a newsletter like this. This is one we sent, I think, at the end of April, with some content that I send. So this was talking about our booking system. It's a video that I shared with our list. And we sent this out to our Pipedrive newsletter subscribers. So very similar to what you saw me do in the first part of this video using a Pipedrive campaign. We just do it through Kit, which is our email marketing provider. The other thing we do here is we've got an automated sequence where if they have that no response or bad timing tag, we then add them to a follow-up sequence where we send 4 emails spaced out over time. And actually you can see here the delays. This first one goes out in 30 days, the second one 60 days later, the fourth one 90 days after that. So that's why we're using Kit, is because we have this much longer term nurture sequence. That's one of the reasons. There's other more powerful features that Kit has, and there's other reasons we use it. But essentially, that's how we do our follow-up. We add them to these sequences. This is quite a good image. I quite like sending people who tell us they're too busy. I think that's quite funny. Actually, this email gets quite a good response, actually. And so we do our nurture through Kit. The other thing we have happen in here is if somebody is getting these nurture emails and then they purchase one of our products like our Master Asana or Master Pipedrive products, these tags get added and they will get removed from these follow-up sequences because we don't want to keep telling people, or we don't want to keep sending nurture content if they've then purchased. We want to stop that, and then actually we trigger a different sequence after the purchase instead. So that is a little look at how to nurture your prospects over the long run. I really do think this is one of the best ways to extract more revenue from your database. It's often tempting to just spend more money on ads, but if you've already got the leads, then sending them a newsletter or adding them to a drip campaign is a great way to just nurture them gradually until they are ready to buy. Now, if you watched all of that and setting it up just looked too complicated, then click the link in the description below, book a call with us, and we'd love to see how we could implement a similar strategy for your business. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.